Looking at this rugged, vast expanse of Komodo Island, you might expect the birth of an apex predator to be a highly guarded event. You might expect to enter the world surrounded by a protective and nurturing family. But a Komodo dragon wakes up in a hole that feels like a sauna, cracks open its shell, and finds absolutely no one. The most immediate, life-ending threat at ground level comes from cannibalistic adults, including the very mother who laid the eggs. Before you even take your first full breath, instinct takes over. You have to get out of the dirt, find the closest trunk, and scramble up the nearest tree as fast as your tiny claws can carry you. Biologists call this kin-targeted predation. On the ground, the island operates as a war zone where massive adults treat their own offspring as a convenient, high-protein snack. Staying below the tree line is mathematically lethal. Every rustle in the bushes or shadow moving across the dirt belongs to a creature looking to consume anything that twitches. It is like living on the 50th floor of a skyscraper because the streets below are overrun by killers. Nature's most fearsome reptile begins its life as a bite-sized target. To survive the first day, the dragon must completely abandon its predatory nature and learn how to be a highly evasive fugitive. That initial climb dictates a strict mandate. You cannot touch the ground for the next several months. Down there is certain death. Up here in the canopy, you enter a prolonged period of exile. You survive this phase thanks to a temporary biological trick. As a juvenile, your scales are mottled with greens and browns. Pressed against the leaves and bark, you possess a natural camouflage that makes it difficult for the hungry eyes below to spot you. But staying hidden means surviving on whatever you can catch without leaving the branches. You subsist on a high-stress diet of insects and tiny lizards, providing just enough calories to slowly stack on the mass you need to defend yourself. This arboreal phase is an evolutionary waiting room. Brute strength is irrelevant up here. Surviving to see your first birthday hinges entirely on the art of remaining unseen. Eventually, you pack on enough weight that the thin branches can no longer support you. Gravity pulls, and you have to take your first wobbly steps back onto the dirt. There are no parents to show you how to stalk prey. Every stealth movement and ambush tactic has to be figured out entirely on your own through dangerous trial and error. The first attempts are clumsy. You spend hours frozen in the underbrush, heart pounding, only to launch a poorly timed strike and watch your dinner scurry away. But you adapt. As we see here with this young adult surveying a vast river valley, the awkward ambushes eventually turn into successful hunts. The diet expands from insects to rats and birds as your territory grows. Confidence doesn't mean safety. The siblings you escaped at birth are still roaming the same island, and a larger dragon is always happy to eliminate a smaller competitor before it becomes a real threat. Dropping to the ground for good marks the end of your time as a fugitive. From this point forward, survival is no longer about successful evasion, but active predation. By year 7, the biological drive to reproduce overrides the instinct to hide. To find a mate, you must first secure and defend a permanent hunting ground. This map illustrates the island's territorial carrying capacity. The environment has a limit to the number of massive predators it can feed, leaving only a few dense pockets of prime hunting land capable of supporting a full-grown dragon. Because of your sheer size, you require vast amounts of space. As you claim your territory, your boundaries inevitably collide with the edges of another adult's land, forcing violent physical disputes to maintain your access to food. This archival photo demonstrates the scale of an adult hunt. You shift toward infrequent, high-stakes ambushes. You wait perfectly still for a wild boar or a water buffalo, landing one precise strike that provides enough calories to sustain you for days. Holding a territory is a physical tax you pay daily, but the real test comes with the mating season. Male dragons must prove their worth through endurance and high-impact wrestling to earn the right to reproduce. Reaching adulthood means you have mastered the island's ruthless mechanics. You sit at the top of the food chain, but maintaining that position requires a state of perpetual warfare. Look closely at the deep scars etched into this 15-year-old face. If you make it this far, you've survived a brutal gauntlet, but your physical peak has passed. Muscle mass fades and reflexes dull, forcing you to rely on decades of experience to outsmart younger predators. But experience cannot hold off biology forever. Eventually, a younger, faster dragon arrives with its eyes set on your territory. This challenger could very well be your own offspring. Your defensive, calculated strikes meet the relentless force of a creature at peak energy. Every blow lands harder, and every movement demands more oxygen. Battered and unable to match the physical output of the youth, you are forced to retreat from the hunting grounds you ruled for years, pushed out to the barren fringes of the island. This displacement serves a brutal biological function. By forcing the aging and the weak to the margins, the island ensures the best hunting grounds are always held by dragons at their physical peak. Your final days are quiet. You find a warm, sunlit patch of dirt away from the constant battles and close your eyes. Meanwhile, miles away, a tiny new shell begins to crack open. The life of the Komodo dragon operates in a perfect loop. The title of apex predator is never permanently owned. You merely rent it until the island inevitably takes it back.